A very warm welcome to this very special show. Today we are going to talk about United World Colleges. United World Colleges is a global movement that makes education a force to unite people, nations, and cultures for peace and a sustainable future. UWC is made up of 18 schools and colleges and they are spread across 4 continents. The majority of them focus in the age group of 16 to 19, with some also catering to younger students. Each school has its own unique location and character and is dedicated to nurturing young people's energy and idealism with empathy, responsibility, and lifelong action. Purpose of the session: learn more about the movement and the application process. Now, this is just a small brief about United World Colleges. I am now being joined by Afsha Sethi. Afsha is the head of the United World College National Committee of India and an alumna she is an alumna of UWC Mahindra College. She is responsible for the strategic planning of the National Committee, including facilitating the selection process, outreach, and partnerships. She is an appointed representative of the national committees in the Asia Pacific region and a member of the UWC International Council. Afsha, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Oineetom.
So, Afsha, let's start by talking about what is United World Colleges.
Sure. So, the United World Colleges are a global network of schools spread basically over 4 continents. There are 18 schools, and the mission of these schools is to unite people, nations, and cultures for peace and a sustainable future. And this is a very ambitious mission statement. So I also just briefly want to talk about how this came about. And it's very strongly linked to the history of UWC. So UWC was founded in 1962 by a German educationist named 𝗚𝗏𝗧𝗏 to promote intercultural understanding in the backdrop of the political conflict of the Cold War. So what he believed was that education should be more than just a means to an end. It should be more than just a ticket to a good university. It should go above and beyond and inspire students to discover what connects them as humans and to collaborate with people from different cultures and different ways of thinking. Now, this started with this idea with the first UWC school, which was in Wales in the UK. And over the years, the UWC movement has grown to include 18 schools on 4 continents. As you said, the majority of these schools focus on the 16 to 19 age group. There are few UWCs which also cater to younger students. What makes UWCs really stand out since their inception is that there is a heavy emphasis placed on deliberate diversity. So we welcome students from a deliberately diverse range of backgrounds and experiences, and this diversity extends to differences in socioeconomic background, culture, race, religion, as well as nationality. And students at every school make friends from all over the world, and they gain a deeper understanding in this way of different ways of thinking. Now, just, quickly, I also just want to talk about how UWCs ensure this diversity. I've talked about the importance of diversity, but how do UWCs ensure this diversity at all their schools? So in order to do so, they've set up national committees in 150 plus countries. So I am a part of the national committee in India, and similarly, there are national committees in these other countries. And it is these committees that are responsible for overseeing the selection cycle and the promotions of UWC in their respective country. So it's a very interesting concept where the school is not directly managing their admissions, but actually relying on these national committees to understand the local context best and recruit students from there.
Yeah, Afsha, of course, I would like to hear more about the entire recruitment process and all. But here, I would want to know from you, what are some of the courses that UWC offers, and also what is the procedure? How do one apply to a United World College?
So all UWC schools offer the International Baccalaureate Diploma program. So it's a 2-year
Right.
11th and 12th grade program, equivalent to, let's say, a CBSE and ICSE curriculum in India. And in terms of the application process, the
Yeah.
application process consists of 2 rounds. So first there's the written application, and second is the interview round. So
Right.
firstly, applicants need to register on our portal, and the link to our application portal is available on our website and social media accounts. And you have to pay an application fee and access the form. There's also an
Okay.
option of requesting a fee waiver for students who come from disadvantaged backgrounds.
Right.
And the
Yeah.
written application consists of essay questions as well as other supporting information, so mark sheets, a teacher
Right.
recommendation, etc.
Yeah.
So this application is very, very important, especially the essays that the students are required to write, because it's a way for us to understand, uh, how an applicant thinks and, what their experiences have been so far.
Right.
And we strongly encourage applicants to write these essays themselves, start early on the application process, and give these enough thought.
Yeah.
Basis the application, there's a shortlisting process, and the shortlisted candidates are then invited for the interview round. And
Okay.
typically, this round takes place at the UWC Mahindra College campus in Pune. So the UWC in India is
Okay.
where the interviews take place, and it's a day-long process. Very, very exciting. The students as well as the parents are invited on to campus, and
Yeah.
there are various selection activities like group discussions, individual interviews, etc. And there's also a detailed financial assessment that's carried out for all these shortlisted applicants to gauge their ability to
Right.
pay.
Okay.
And we,
Okay.
we can
Yeah.
talk about this later as well, that
Yes, absolutely.
UWC has a
Absolutely.
very comprehensive scholarship assessment program as well, to support students who do not have the ability to pay the full fee. So they're
Yeah.
eligible for scholarship support. And
Yes.
yeah, so this is in terms of the application. We also have a lot of material available on our website, and the frequently asked questions, etc., which will be very useful for applicants to go through.
In fact, I also have Ifat with me, who is already a student. She's studying in the United World College in the Pune campus. Of course, we will talk to her as well. But before I move on to her, would want to know from you. You mentioned about students who come from humble background. There are a lot of facilities, the scholarships that UWC offers. That is something we would like to hear more from you. And also, the number of campuses that UWC has, where all across India you all are present, and why. More importantly, I would want to know from you, why should a student or parents think about UWC for their child?
Sure, Neetam. Great question. So I'll start with the students you said who come from humble background, require aid. So given the stress that UWCs place on diversity, the idea is always to not let a person's ability to pay come in the way of them receiving this education. So which is why all the students who are shortlisted, so if you're shortlisted for an interview, in parallel you will also be made to undergo a financial assessment, and that will determine your parents' ability to pay. And ultimately, if you secure a place in a UWC, then UWC will actually subsidize your education through the scholarships that we have available. And this will be determined by your parents' ability to pay. So, in a way, each student's fee will be unique depending on their financial capability. And you might be rank one on our merit list. But if your family has shown that they do not require any financial support, you will be expected to bring in the full fee. So that way it's completely need-based, not merit-based. So, there is an extensive scholarship program that supports students, and that's why we encourage students from varied walks of life to apply. So that's on the financial support bit. When it comes to why should a student or a parent consider UWC? You should consider UWC if you're looking for a holistic education, where if you're looking for an education that, of course, focuses on academics. There is a very rigorous academic program, but it is also coupled with a very rigorous extracurricular program. So there's a lot of out of the classroom learning, and there's also a lot of residential learning, because all of these schools are residential schools. So every day you're living with students from 150 plus countries. So there's a lot of learning involved in that interaction, right? So it teaches you to be leaders at a very young stage and cross-cultural collaborators at a very young age. So it equips you with these very essential life skills early in life. So that's why we encourage people to consider this opportunity.
Right. Now, another thing that I'm sure, many students, children, they would want to know, what about the placement opportunities?
Sure. So when you are a student at a UWC, you will also be working very closely with the university guidance counselor. And we encourage students to have diverse interests. We know no student sort of is, there no two students are the same. So this university guidance counselor will work towards basically helping you chart your next steps depending on your interests and passions. And most of our students ending up, in terms of where they go, they end up going to the United States, because there are scholarships that are available just for UWC graduates in the United States. It's called the Davis Scholarship Program, and it is another needs-based program. So a lot of our students end up going to the United States for their undergraduate study, followed by Europe, the UK, Canada. And as the IB now is gaining popularity in India as well, we have students who stay back and continue their education in India as well. And when it comes to what they end up studying, it's a very diverse range across the spectrum, from filmmaking to the hard sciences, engineering, etc. So it's across depending on their interests.
Right. So before I bring in 𝗖𝗛𝗡 into our conversation, some about the some kind of advice from your side as far as applicants are concerned.
Firstly, there's a lot of information available online. There's a wealth of information. So I encourage even potential applicants to first just go through that material and see whether this is an opportunity that interests you, excites you. Secondly, if you do decide to go ahead with your application, I'd mentioned this before, but I really want to stress this, that give your essays time and work on them yourself, because these will form the basis of your interview as well. And our interviewer panel is, they have a lot of experience interviewing over the years, so they are able to weed out applicants who have not submitted an authentic application. So that's the second. And third, we're not looking for any particular profile, so don't sweat on it too much in terms of, how should I present myself? Be yourself, tell us your story. And overall, we're looking for well-rounded, curious applicants who come from, they come from a diversity of experiences and backgrounds. And one thing that we keep in mind when we're reading applications is that, has this person made best use of the opportunities available to them? So in this way, we try to not only look for what they've done in terms of actions, but also potentials in case, they haven't got that opportunity to actually live their potential. So that's another thing that we do keep in mind. And otherwise, all the best for everyone interested. Applications will be opening very, very soon.
Yes. All right, Afsha, now let me bring in 𝗖𝗛𝗡 into our conversation. It will be nice to hear from her, because she is one of the students already studying in UWC. It will be wonderful to bring in 𝗖𝗛𝗡 now into our conversation. So, Yeah, so let's bring in Ifat and speak to her. So with me now is Ifat. You're a second year student at UWC. All right. Ifat, let's hear from you. You know, how did you get into UWC? How did you hear about UWC? Tell us everything about it.
So I found out about UWC last year. I was in my 10th grade and I was preparing for the board exams. And when you're preparing for board exams, there's so many people asking you what do you plan next.
Yes.
So I liked both science and arts. So it was such a big decision to choose one, and that's when I found out about IB. So I found out about IB first and then UWC, because when I was researching about IB schools, it was kind of expensive, and like you mentioned before, I come from a humble background, so it was a little difficult for my parents to afford an IB school. But then I found out about UWC.
Right.
And when I was applying, I told my parents that I'll only go if I get a scholarship, because it is also expensive to study in a UWC.
Right.
But then when I did get in, it was a very long process, because there was the application, the interview round, and I had my interview during COVID, so it was online, and then there was group interviews which were also online, and then I got in, and when I did, they also offered me a very big scholarship, so I am studying in UWC Mahindra now.
Okay, so it became kind of easier for you because of the scholarship.
Yes.
क्योंकि ये सारा सुविधा UWC के तरफ से था, इसीलिए आपके लिए काफ़ी आसान हो गया सारा प्रोसेस. और आपने बताया कि काफ़ी लंबा प्रोसेस रहा पूरा. थोड़ा सा बताएंगे.
Yes.
You can speak in Assamese also.
Yes. So more application process start husil September. So I applied in September, and then there were like essays that I had to write. The application procedure was kind of similar to what it would be like if anybody applies to schools in the US, because essay likhibo lagese bahut kita. And once you get through the first round, then you are invited for the interview. Now I think people are coming to campus, because interviews are facilitated on campus, and it's so amazing to see all these people coming to campus. But I had mine online because of COVID, like I said. And the interview round was in January, if I remember right. And then when it was done, there was another wait, and then we heard back for the third round, which was the group interview.
Yeah.
And I think it was very important for the group interview round, because I think they wanted to see how we acted with people that had similar thoughts and similar ideas. And after that, we got the final decision in about April, and my decision came right before the day I had my admission scheduled for a school in Guwahati. So it was perfect timing.
Okay, so you are from Guwahati, so how does it feel to be part of UWC?
It feels amazing, because when I went to UWC, I knew about my culture. I knew about being an Assamese. I knew Bihu, but when I went there and I saw all these people being so passionate about their cultures, it made me want to know my culture more. And that's how I listened to more Assamese songs, watched more Assamese movies, and now when I come back, I crave to hear the language as well, because in UWC right now there's only me who's from Assam, who's from Northeast. I had a second year who was from Nagaland, but he has gotten into college, so right now it's just me. And yeah, it would be amazing if there are more people from the Northeast, so that I don't feel alone and we can represent our culture together.
Right. All right. We are actually looking forward for more kids joining UWC from Northeast, and thank you so much. Thank you, Ifat. Thank you, Afsha, for joining, and like I said, looking forward, hoping that we get more students from the region in UWC, so that they get much better education, much better facilities, and they can turn their dreams into realities. Thank you so much to both of you, and wishing you the very best. Thank you. Thank you, Afsha. Thank you, Ifat. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Oineetom. Thank you so much.